Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. We've only got 3 stages left of the 2021 Tour de France. Felt like it's gone for about 4 weeks at times, but we can see Paris. I'm your host, Dan Jones. As always, I'm joined by 4-time national road champion from Australia, Johnny Trevaro, Olympic gold medalist and Olympic commentator, Scotty McGrory, and the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, who will also be commentating on the Olympics for Channel 7 with
he'll be commentating as well.
He
will be, he'll be commentating as well. Comedian and commentating.
You can tell. You can tell we're at
never. You know, I'm so excited for 6:30 to come around. So Australia Eastern Standard Time, so we can talk about the Tour de France, the great stage last night, and I'm already getting a bit. That was the most boring bloody introduction. It was almost sounds like you sound so flat, Dan. What's wrong, mate?
Well, it's just a lot of work, as you know, John. There's so much prep that goes into this show, and by the time we go live, I'm cooked. But no, I need to mix it up. I think we should mix it up next time. And if you have a crack at doing the intros, because I think you're coming in. You're actually Benjamin Button. You're getting stronger towards the last part of this tour, mate.
He's up and about, is he?
Yeah, it's through the roof. I can't keep up.
I'm waiting for it. I'm keeping my ego in check right from the start because I'm sure John's going to have a crack at me at some point and berate me as he normally does.
Now, breaking news. We love breaking news on this show, and that is that NBC, the viewership has gone through the roof, and they're saying that it's because everyone in Australia is, the Detour podcast, and it's spewing in. Everyone's downloading VPNs, and they're just tracking all these numbers. It's all got to be filtering through the podcast, Phil.
I think you're absolutely right, because they sent me a mail last night after the show to say that the latest figures indicated that they've got the biggest viewers on a cable network in the USA since 2011. So they're way over the top. It probably means I'm condemned to this solitary confinement forevermore. We get more viewers in here than we do in the Tour de France. So I'm done forever here now. I'm terrible.
Hey, that is a problem, though, Phil. Oh, hey, you're right. What you're saying.
Go on. I'm just going to say there's also overnight, Scott, Ben Stiller, who I do know reasonably well, but he started a movement on Twitter to put Phil Liggett in vision. And it's hit the spot, because I have another email from NBC saying to the technicians here, how do we get Phil in vision and do what Ben Stiller wants? So, boy, that man's got some power. So for that reason, I'm wearing a posh top tonight, just in case.
Phil, if you can get interest from Ben Stiller, get him on the show. Scooter's interviewed him at the Tour de France before. They're besties.
I'm going to send you, Dan. Hang on. I'm going to send you.
I do have his personal mobile phone number, actually.
Oh, hang on.
Well, if you call him, mention my name.
Night. Get him on the potty.
Mention my name and be on it.
Come on, Phil.
Right, I'm going to send you something.
Share the love.
It would be a big one, wouldn't it?
It would be sensational. Almost as big as having Phil Liggett every day.
That's right.
If he
the intro to the show was boring, John, but how did you find the stage yesterday, even though all three of us picked the Pog to win?
Yes. I even had a little bet on it.
Did you? What odds did you get?
Yeah. Not that good. I think it was about four. It wasn't too bad.
That's not bad.
$30, about $10. But another great look. We thought it'd be similar. It was almost as good as the day before, just about, and delivered. Lots of little side issues going on. Again, Alaphilippe, doing his crazy thing at the start, but a good stage, solid stage, interesting little battle at the intermediate sprint where Cav came out and put them all back in their place. But overall, sensational. And he just showed, the Pog showed he's the man of this tour, and was too strong. Really, really impressed with Ben O'Connor. And he, similar to the day before, he went with the Pog for the first couple of goes, and then realised, I've got to just drop back. He and Kelderman rode together over it, and he's now got 4th place, and I reckon he'll hold it.
I think he will.
One of the big stories Free Rangers called out was the fan who went over the ravine on his bike and was rescued by Fruman Gilbert and Bike Exchange's Chris Yule Jensen. Scooter, there are advantages of being in the Gruppetto because you can keep an eye on what's going on, particularly at the back with the crowds.
Yeah, well, isn't it interesting though that these guys took it's great that they did it, took the time out, knowing that they were far enough behind, but still not too far behind, that they actually had the time to actually go and help this guy out.
But I think they were actually riding back. It was after the finish. They were riding down to vehicles. They'd already finished. They were rolling down together, and then they saw it. They saw it happen. The guy went over the edge, so they stopped to help.
Apparently the guy did say when Chris was the one that climbed over the fence to go down, the guy actually suggested that Chris go back up and find someone that did actually have some arm muscles that might be able to actually help and lift him back up out of the ravine.
And also,
what are you going to do for me?
And also, in the case of Philippe Gilbert, somebody who's had the experience of going over this and coming back up. He knew what to advise as soon as he saw the problem.
He had knee pain after that for some reason didn't crash. Yeah.
But what's it like for the people?
Hey, I sent you a message, Dan. As well. If you can work that out.
Is this all about Ben Stiller getting his personal number and tactically fishing that from Phil?
Would you prefer it on an email or something? I sent it to you on a text message.
Well, Phil, the fans want it. They just do it. Diane says do it. They want Diane. Ben Stiller. And I can't see why he wouldn't want to come on the detour because he is a diehard cycling fan. Like Scooter, can you recall the first time? Remember that day that you come back to me? You said, "Mate, you're not going to believe it." I go, "What? Yeah, Ben Stiller's like loitering around." I was like, I just lost it. My brain couldn't comprehend the name of this celebrity. Loitering.
Yeah. But, well, that's what Lance did bring. One of the other things that Lance did bring, there were some other things, but he brought the celebrities. Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, what's his name? The
Matthew
McConaughey. Yeah, he brought in the stars. And when we were working with Fox, that was one of the things. They loved it, didn't they? If there was a celebrity, and we'd go and actually ask the team, "Hey, who's coming? Who's coming?" McConaughey's coming in a couple of days, and then it wasn't for Lance, but Tom Cruise. He was on the tour for a day as well, promoting a movie. So we were chasing those guys and girls all the time just to make sure we spoke to the big celebrities.
Boys, I've just thought of the downside of this Ben Stiller thing. It's only 3:30 in the morning. I don't think he'll get up in Manhattan to do our
Phil, pre-record, mate.
Yeah,
you just need to give us.
What,
give
you mean
us
I
his
do it
number.
at 3:30 in the morning? Okay.
No. You just handball the number, and me, Scooter, and Iffy, we will look after him.
I'm not sure I can give anybody his number.
Well,
I've got
he
Eddy
has a
Merckx
great story.
He won't let me give anybody my number out. His number.
Well, Ben has a good story. I don't want to tell it now in case. Should we?
No,
okay.
look, the odds are slim. The odds are slim, Scotty. He can torch.
I don't reckon we get him on. We've got 2 days to get him on. It's not going to happen. So, the story was he was at the tour 2 years in a row. And the photo that I sent through to you, Dan, that's from the second year where we got confirmation that the story from the first year was actually true. Now, that was the comeback years of Lance. So 2009, Team Time Trial, Lance and the boys just missed out on him taking the yellow jersey in the Team Time Trial, right? So it was so close to getting Lance back into the yellow jersey. It was going to be a big story. And yet there was this rumour that Ben Stiller had broken the chain on Lance's bike somehow. And we all sort of thought it was, look, comedian, having a bit of fun. It was a bit of a joke. And the story sort of got around. After that stage, it came out that it was true. And then the next year when we bumped into him, I asked him the question and he went through the full story. He said, yeah, absolutely. Lance had set it up. The bikes were all lined up on the home trainers getting for the warm-up for the Team Time Trial. Lance had, kind of finished his warm-up, joked to Ben to jump on his bike. The media will love it and just pedal away on Lance's race bike, which he did. And so he did that. But what he was changing gears while he was going as hard as he could, and the chain got jammed and twisted. So when he got off the bike, They took the bike off to get ready for Lance to go to the start line, and they realised the chain had actually been twisted, and they had to replace the chain. And they were scrambling with only a couple of minutes to put a new chain on the bike so Lance could go into the team time trial. And he joked that he did something to the bike that may have cost Lance Armstrong the yellow jersey that day. And yeah, funny man. But it was true.
There it
is.
There we go.
There is. There's the photo you just sent through with Ben. And we gave him a kangaroo badge, one of your famous kangaroo badges, Iffy, that a lot of people probably wouldn't know, but you were probably the guy that really pioneered taking over a bag of really cheap kangaroos.
Hey. They were bloody rippers. Kangaroo on a bike.
No. What I mean, what you paid for them and what you got out of them, the tactical approach of those kangaroo badges. I mean, just give people a quick run through of your whole era of the kangaroo badges. At the Tour de France.
I became quite famous for it. You've heard of Alberta Hino is the badger. Well, I was the badgerer, and I gave out quite a few. But one of the classics we're up in St. Ulrich, up in the mountains, and it was your mum and dad were with me, Daniel. And we didn't have a hotel room booked. Funny about that. We did, but it was about 50k down the road. And we thought, gee, we can get a room up here because the rest day tomorrow, we get 2 days up this beautiful town up in the Alps. Yeah. It would be fantastic. So we all walked. We tried. No, everything was booked. I walked into this amazing, gold star chateau type place, and a lovely lady came out, absolutely gorgeous, leopard skin outfit. I still remember her well. And I asked, she said, I'm sorry, this is the private. It was owned by the famous Italian family, make all the jewelry and everything. I can't think of their name. Anyway, I said, okay. So I gave a kangaroo badge to her daughter. She said, oh, thank you. And I gave one to her. She said, how many of you are? So I would need 2 rooms. She rented me out 2 rooms in this private chateau, and we didn't pay.
That's unbelievable.
2 kangaroo badges.
50 badges.
Your mother, I remember your mum, your beautiful mother Mary, made a little towel for me saying sort of like if you experience,
Can I just point out that when John started talking about your parents, then he immediately went into parent mode and called you Daniel.
Oh yeah,
it's like you're in trouble.
I know. Whenever I hear Daniel, I just sort of tighten up.
What have I done?
We got a few comments coming through, guys. Peter Williams says the last 2 stages were poorly designed. When you have around 100 k's of flats at the beginning of a multi-mountain stage, it's hard for a breakaway to get enough time. Do you agree, Phil?
Not really. When you've got a long flat stage, of course, that's when they do get enough time to get up the mountain at the end. But this has been a very different Tour de France. The Ineos have had nothing out of this race, and they're desperate to get Carapaz onto the podium, or have been these past 2 days. So they weren't allowing these breaks to go far before they started working. Pogacar has just done his job and kept it riding on the front. And it's been showdown on the mountains, and we've seen who the best man is. This race has been ridden more in the manner of the days of Eddy Merckx and the days of Bernard Hinault, the old-fashioned tours. And that's who Tadej reminds me of. And I can't remember, and if anybody's listening or watching who can, when we won back-to-back stages in a yellow jersey. So just let me know, because I've seen nothing on social media or the general media at all, and I can't remember.
Well, so throw that out to all our wonderful listeners and viewers, because I can't think of it. Probably Eddy Merckx, I don't know, but see if anyone can jump
Eddie,
in their Google. Jump in their Google. Yeah, amazing.
Come on, Will Wizard.
I think this has been one of the great Tours de France. I mean, there has not been one boring day, not one. Every day has delivered something special. It's just been fantastic.
John, you are super positive, and you say this every year. And when we're on the tour, every buffet was the best buffet ever.
Yeah, but
it's the same old spiel.
Last year was brilliant. This year is even better.
You always get a good bed.
John, it's been good, but I think the fact that the POG has been so dominant on GC hasn't made it the best tour of all time. You have to admit to that.
No, I don't admit to that at all. That doesn't change how good the race is. That just changes how good he is.
It does.
Eddie Merckx. I mean, all Eddie Merckx's
taken 3
tour de
weeks to
France
get
were
the host
boring because he was
and the
got his
producer
miles in
to
front.
fall out.
Bernie,
Really?
you know.
No, I think it's been a good tour. I wouldn't call it the best. I wouldn't call it the best. Well,
I've
if
enjoyed
you
it.
disagree, I've enjoyed it, but
I
throw
judge
out
a
your
tour.
comments.
I judge a tour not by the who's going to win and the excitement of the first place. I judge a tour by the quality of every stage, and every stage in this bike race has been bloody fantastic.
Yeah,
Yep.
I tend to agree
Thank
with
heavens
you,
for
John.
Cavendish, of course.
Yeah. Well, so there's this Cav story. There's the Mathieu van der Poel story. There's Alaphilippe, the world champion, the French darling, getting the stage win at the start as well. For us, Ben O'Connor with his stage win, breakaways, so many solo victories from breakaways, and that's always good to see. I like to see people
That's
rewarded
lots
for
of
having a real
tears.
go. Yeah, lots of tears, lots of I'm lost for words.
Lots for hugs, lots of
Lots
hugs.
of words after that. But
And it's not good, Scotty, if you're lost for words when you're commentating, is it? It's a bit of a
No,
joke.
yeah, I'm lost for words. Well, we actually had that. We had that in the tennis when Ash Barty won. A mate of ours, Tom Woodbridge, was basically like that. He was so emotional in the commentary that when they went back to him watching that game, watching that match, he was, look, I'm lost for words. He didn't know what to say. He was in tears. Yeah, he loved it so much. It's great. Yeah, to see that passion come through. I tend to agree with you. Look, when you look at the overall classification, 5 odd minutes, yeah, sure, Pogacar, but remember, go back a few days and we were saying, well, hey, could there be a crack? Maybe there might be. And then as we got closer and closer, it was, oh, no, possibly not. And then he blew everyone away. And I reckon the back-to-back yellow jersey question, there's a good reason that it could have been Merckx.
Because Ranger. Last round,
was
win
Merckx.
2 mountain stages in yellow, Merckx. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So
I've got to meet this free ranger.
Oh,
he
he's
knows
a
his
gun.
stuff, doesn't he?
Superstar.
But see, we can break that down, right? So if you go back to, so Merckx had 34 stage wins. Now,
Well, at least we're right.
Yeah, and that's the equal of, so Cavendish is equal that now, and Cav comes in and wins 4, 5, sometimes 6 stages in a tour as a pure sprinter. The sprinters always typically win more than your GC or your mountain type riders. But if you go back to Merckx's day, you're talking about Pogacar being dominant now. To win 34 stages as the overall winner of 5 tours, he absolutely slaughtered the field on so many occasions. Now, everybody talked it up back then because he was so good, but I'm sure there was negative press around Merckx neutralising the race so much. He's the dominant force.
Oh, there was.
But in hindsight, he was a superstar and a champion.
Don't forget, I was there on most of his tour victories. And when I telephone my newspaper in London, the first question they ask is, who won today? I say Eddy Merckx. Oh, well, just give us 2 paragraphs. Because he was so good, they didn't want the story in Britain. It was amazing because cycling wasn't that popular. If we have a variety or a British winner, you get the distance. Eddy holds the record number of stage wins, if I remember rightly. I think it's 8 in the tour. The other people have done it, but Eddy Merckx doing it. And don't forget, when he won, actually, it was near where we are today at Merckx. Eddy won the stage he broke away alone in his first tour in 1969. He won by 8 minutes, and his breakaway was 140k alone and wearing the yellow jersey. Now, Pogacar's got to do that today, and then we'll say he's as good as Eddy Merckx.
Well, we've got the viewers divided. Chatty's in my camp. He says all those awful crashes, great riders not there. 2 good stages, but many of the Chook Raffle stages were pretty boring. But Michelle,
I can't remember a real boring stage.
Michelle says, as a couch Peloton follower, I'm with you, John. One of the best tours to watch every day. But Phil, would you agree? It's been one of the best tours.
Yeah, I know because one day I commentated for 5.25 hours. And that's a long time to sit in my little rabbit hutch here for 5.25 hours. There was a huge problem getting down the corridor to the loo because we were never off air, and they had a heck of a job bringing the loo to me, so it was a huge problem. But I must say that I think the tour's been terrific, and I've not really had a bad stage. We've always found a storyline to keep it going. I've enjoyed the tour very much.
Free Ranger. I grew up near Harworth in the UK.
Oh, know it well.
Birthplace. There's a memorial and a small museum there. So, You could be potential besties, you and the Free Ranger moving forward.
Yep. Well,
He can be your research, your stats man.
Stats man. Everyone needs a good stats man.
Yeah. Everybody thinks Tom was a Yorkshireman, but in fact he wasn't. He was born in Nottinghamshire.
If here's one for you, Scott Davies says, when Dave Brailsford was on the podcast, he said Ineos would be riding a more attacking and exciting style. Seems to be the old Sky days with riders on the front riding tempo. What's going on, John?
Yes, they haven't been able to produce that. Yeah, they haven't been able to produce it. They've been trying to come up with a tactic that does something for them. It hasn't worked. They haven't, they've almost been riding most of the stages like they were extra team for UAE, just on the front and helping out UAE, although they were obviously trying to get Carapaz, tire out the POG or something, but it hasn't worked. And they're going to go through this tour without a stage win. I can't see they're not going to win one. They're not going to win the sprint stage today, I wouldn't think, and they won't win the time trial tomorrow. Carapaz will lose a minute and a half tomorrow on the POG. He'll keep his third place. They'll finish third overall, but that's all they're going to get out of it, which is for a team with €50 million budget, evidently. That's not good enough.
That reeks of a full review. Full review.
Yes.
Full review.
Matty Pointer just sent me a message, guys, to remind us that Bernard Hinault won 7 stages in the 79 Tour, and he won 3 of the final 4 stages as well, including that final stage on the Champs-Élysées. So in the yellow jersey, in a bunch sprint on the Champs-Élysées, the overall winner of the Tour after winning 7th for the whole Tour. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Yeah. Freddie Martin's won 8 stages as well. And the green jersey. Yeah.
And 13 in one Vuelta, is that right?
Exactly.
I thought
13 in the Vuelta.
15, but it might be 13,
13 in the Vuelta.
2
and
in the
Vuelta.
Scooter, Chris Rowe wants to know, can O'Connor TT?
It's not his best. It's not his best suit, but we saw that he was always about 30th.
24 hours from now.
Yeah,
he actually didn't do a bad time trial in that first one, considering he was actually a bit hurt, and he ran. I thought it was 21st, but he was only like a minute and a half down or something. Wasn't that far down? And Kelderman only beat him by 7 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty close. But see, Kelderman historically has been a pretty decent time trialer, and I remember it was maybe last year's Giro we were talking about whether Kelderman's going to do the time trials, at a great level or not, and he wasn't that outstanding. So I think maybe over the last few years he's compromised his time trialing for his climbing. So it'll be a pretty good battle between those two. I think on paper you'd say Kelderman is better, and he did beat him in the first time trial, but not by much. But it's who's got the legs. And I must say, Kelderman, they look like, even when they crossed the line and Ben, put his hand out, a bit of a fist pump with him because it was the final battle that those two were going to do before the time trial. They were pretty even. These last 2 stages, they've been very, very even on form. So it's going to be a great little race between the two. I think Ben has got enough to hold on. I hope so.
Yeah. Hope you're right. He was the national champion.
I've been texting back and forth with Ben's dad, John, who's in France at the moment, to make sure we can get Ben on next week on the podcast to talk about his great tour. And so, look, hold this space, but I think next week, Tuesday or Thursday, we'll get him on the show.
Yeah, he was 31st in that first time trial, but only 7 seconds behind Kelderman. So it's who's got the legs 3 weeks in.
Yep.
Okay, right. You're going to write obviously an article at some point for the Geelong Eddy about comparisons. Ben O'Connor, Cadel Evans. What does he need to do after this tour? What does he need to do to go away if he really wants to be a serious GC contender at the Tour de France? To get to the level of a Cadel Evans, and do we have a potential Tour de France winner, knowing that the POG, Roglic, you're up against these sort of hitters for the next sort of half a decade at least?
Well, that's good. There's going to be the biggest challenge, of course. But look, he's going to most likely finish fourth. That is the third best placing of an Australian in the history of the race in his first attempt. That's pretty good. I mean, he's only Cadell and Richie, who third last year. They're the only riders to do better than that in the history of the Tour. Phil Anderson twice fifth. So that's pretty impressive. And it's his first Tour. And he's a natural Grand Tour rider. We saw that last year in the Giro when he, right at the end of it, he got second in a stage, hard day, and come out and won the next day. That means there's something in your genes that allows you to do the 3-week race well. It's either there or it's not. A lot of really good bike riders just haven't been able to put 3 weeks Tour together. Like Mick Rogers, who was a fantastic bike rider for week-long 10-day events, but just didn't have the makeup for 3 weeks, which he admitted himself. He's obviously got that. Now, that's a big thing. It's his first Tour de France. He's going to finish fourth, most likely, fifth at worst, but I reckon he'll be fourth. That is very impressive. So what's he got to do? Well, time trial is going to have to lift quite a bit, but he's probably as good as Carapaz now, so or not far off. And he's being touted as a future Tour de France winner. So he's got to be in that mix. It depends how he develops. I mean, the way he races, he's aggressive. We'll just see what happens over the next 12 months.
He's got to also get onto a top team. I mean, AG2R have been the most faithful team to the sport, but this team couldn't help him win the Tour de France. So he probably would have to consider his future and see what offers came from teams who may have seen some talent in him.
But he's just signed for 4 years, though. Phil,
yes, I'm sure. I know he's got a long-term contract, but unless they strengthen their team to back him, then he will never win the Tour. We'll wait and see.
What's his name? The Pog, whose team has stepped up this year. He won it with our team last year, mate.
Brilliantly, yes, indeed.
If you do it that way, if it comes in really late like that and come into Paris in your slippers, it can be done.
The Pog is different to everybody else.
You've got to head off in 2 minutes, Phil, but last one from Stuart.
You're so good to me, looking after me like that.
It sounds like the days might be numbered of having TV networks having the presenter and commentators on the ground to provide the coverage. SBS coverage hasn't suffered and must have saved a fortune. We've mentioned this a few times, but do you think this is going to be the norm moving forward? Like, given that you just said, the numbers are really strong.
Well, it's already become the norm in business life in London. Businesses now were lifting all restrictions on Monday, even if we did have 49,000 cases yesterday. But all restrictions come off Monday. But the firms are saying, come in 2 days a week, and if it's possible, just do the other 3 days at home. And so consequently, people are going to adapt to change in the way they do production. We've always been moving technically to such a situation. It's not the real thing. I mean, I've got the benefit of covering the Tour de France from site for 46 years, 47 years, whatever it is. And all that experience and having been there and done that, I'm using now when I'm on television here all day. I know the towns already. I don't need to go back and check them out again. I know who runs the baker shop in the Borg, in the Grand Bornand in the Alps, for example, and stuff like that. So I think at the end of the day, you need to be part of the scene. We call it a family. But I think the long term might well be. I mean, after all, I'm doing the Olympic Games from London when it starts for Channel 7. Well, for a start, they saved $6,000 on the air ticket. They saved 18 days in a top hotel with all meals. So yeah, and they halved my salary. I forgot to mention that they halved my salary as well to do it from London. So they're saving all round, aren't they? And you won't know. I'm working with Scotty. We've done the rehearsals in London to a Sydney studio. It was perfect. It was perfect. I have a spy camera on Scotty, just like now. I can see him all the time. I know what he's doing. Just like I have here with Bob Roll. I can see him.
Big brother, it's Big Phil.
Yeah. And I go
Well,
home every night. But hey, I'm still getting up. I'm working a longer day, traveling into London, doing the job and traveling home. I'm only home in the house in time for dinner. Then I'm in bed and I'm up at 5:30 and the process starts again. So it's not a shorter day. In fact, it's a longer day. You think I would be having my feet up, but I'm not.
We have to obviously mention the foundation
There she is.
director,
Yeah.
kariega.co.za/Peloton. We're in talks because obviously Jason from the Miller Resorts has offered up a fantastic incentive for people to donate, and that is 5 days accommodation worth 10,000 US. So we think we're going to extend that till the end of the Vuelta. So we'll keep pushing the donations.
Well, that'd be very welcome.
Because too big of a prize just to give it 3 days. And if that's not an incentive, I mean, you should have been inspired enough from all the stories that we've shared so far. But any donation makes a difference. So just keep it going because we really want to get to the $35,000 mark.
So everyone who's donated already will go into that draw. So right through to the end of the Vuelta. So it's going to be great. We'll give you more information as we get it.
Trish is on the case, Phil. Trish is on the case. So
she's always on the case, Tricia. And once we finish our podcast, we're getting back to the monthly rides, which you're all very welcome to join us on Full Gas. And we're lining up some very interesting people concerned with the saving of the animals in Africa, the vets and the people that have operated on like Tandy. You've just seen the rhino in the picture there. But now South Africa has another huge problem. Not only is COVID really ripping the country apart, but the rioting which is now going on. Friends of mine in Durban are doing night patrols now. All of his staff from his company have been told to lock themselves in their homes and do not come out or come to work, of course. He's been delivering milk to the houses because people won't go outside. The riots are violent. There's quite a lot of people killed already. And within a kilometre of my mate's house in Durban, it's just a fireball as they build down. They're just burning down factories. This is all to do with the ex-president Zuma, who got put in prison this week. I don't know what took so long for contempt of court. Yet he is known to be the most corrupt person in the world, and all his supporters have started rioting. So where can you go? And Sunday is the great man's day. Mandela Day is on Sunday. How they can do this to one of the greatest men I've ever known, I don't know.
Yeah, shocking. Hopefully it starts turning around pretty soon because we were getting fed a lot of that back here in Australia, and
well here it's hardly being mentioned. I can't believe that the BBC is hardly mentioning it at all. It's a disgrace. Yeah.
Well, as we said, donate to the foundation. Every dollar counts because it's real crunch time at the moment with COVID. So really appreciate it. And thanks again to everyone that has donated and people like Jace at the Miller Resorts that are giving incentives, and Let's Go Motorhomes and Bike Exchange. They're all getting behind it. So we'll keep chugging along, mate, till definitely the end of the Vuelta. So thanks again for joining us, Phil. You've got to go back on SBS tonight, mate.
Yes, apparently, yes. We made rather a mess of it yesterday. What's that finger for, Scotty?
Just before you jumped off, that's all. Just I noticed the Wheel Wizard has said that, Hino did, backing it up as well, what Matty Pointer was saying, Hino won back-to-back in yellow in 79, just for your stats tonight.
It had to be the big five. I might have 5 minutes before we go live, so I'll check it all up. And I'll look really good on air now. I will mention none of the credits for what people have said after. They all came from my idea.
That's it. Well, we look forward, Phil, to tomorrow night's show with a pre-record with Ben Stiller. We're sure that you're going to hook it up for the listeners, and we look forward to checking it in, mate. All you have to do is send him a DM and say, the guys on the podcast would love to talk to you. Are you interested? And then if he doesn't reply, just send us his number and we'll sort it out.
We'll sort it out. Horses head to bed. And tomorrow we could be talking about the record. Cavs.
That's right.
Finally breaking the record. Can you do it?
And let's hope too that by tomorrow, we've still got today to get through, that Ben O'Connor's done a good enough time trial to secure fourth place in the tour, because that's some ride, I'll tell you. That's some ride. Yeah.
Just
My
ask
earpiece
Ben
is on.
Stiller. Just ask Ben Stiller for his email. We will send him a link to the show and a time. We'll pre-record it and we'll just talk bikes. And why would he knock that back? I can't understand. It's all for the viewers.
What time of the day would you want to pre-record
Anytime.
Doesn't matter.
We're in lockdown in Melbourne.
Anytime.
We've got nothing to do. If it's 2 a.m, whatever.
Yeah.
It's on Ben's time. So
2 a.m. I can't
thanks for
believe it.
organising that, Phil. And the listeners were obviously live, so they're very excited.
Look, I'll DM him, because that can't hurt. He'll kill me, I know. At least it's not my fault then.
Yeah. Okay. All
I'll
right,
send
mate.
him a DM
You're a legend.
before I go on air. All right.
Good on you, Phil.
Okay.
All right, bud.
Gentlemen,
See you, mate.
you all look so handsome. Either I'm spending too long away from home or you're getting more good looking. All right. All the best.
Good on you, Phil. No worries. Phil, look at the voice of cycling who needs to clean his lens.
That's what happens on day 18 or day 19 of the Tour de France.
Okay. What do you think of the odds of getting Ben Stiller on tomorrow? 10%.
What's your favorite Ben Stiller movie?
Geez, where do you start? Long Cone Polly have to be up there. Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, really good.
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball.
Okay, cycling. Got Lance Armstrong in that one too. Cameo.
Yeah.
Something
about Mary.
His old man. Nah, his old man is a pisser.
Frank. Yeah.
Meet the Fockers. Yeah. Seinfeld does. You know all the Seinfeld. That's something people won't know about Dan, is he can pretty much recite every episode of Seinfeld.
Obsessed. I went on the Kenny Kramer reality tour in New York, the real Kramer. That was just a cash grab, but still loved it. Anyway. All right. Well, here's an ad break from our mates at Let's Go Motorhomes and Bike Exchange.
We all love an open road, and often they're easier to find during quieter times of the year. In a Let's Go motorhome or camper van, you can road trip in comfort and style any time of the year. When the roads are quiet, you can get where you want quicker and easier without jostling for position. Chances are your destination won't be as busy too, which means you'll enjoy your travelling adventure even more. Plus, if you book a Let's Go motorhome or camper van in the off-season, you pay less, meaning you can travel longer. There's a type of motorhome or camper van for everyone, so you won't have to compromise on what you want. The whole range has the things you need to help create the perfect road trip experience, including heating and cooling, keeping you comfortable on the road all the time. Whether there's 2 or 6 of you, there's a motorhome for everyone. And in a Let's Go motorhome, your journey can be just as fun as the destination you want to reach. The open road is calling. Check out some of our great offers online today and start planning your next road trip. Rain, hail, or shine.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange and Let's Go Motorhomes. Stuart McIntosh, he had a question for Phil and Scooter. Obviously, Phil is gone, but who are the Aussie cyclists that are the best medal chances in Tokyo? We need to set up our viewing schedules for the fortnight, Scotty.
Okay, the best chance, we've got several good chances, but probably the best chance is in the newest of the sports, BMX freestyle with Logan Martin. He won the World Championship only 6 weeks ago. And unfortunately, our former world champion, who actually has a run that would have outscored Logan and therefore would have won the title, and they would have been gold and silver. They've both been world champions in the last, Logan's a couple of times and Brandon Lupus is the other guy. He blew his knee out on one of the tricks, just landed awkwardly and did his ACL. But had he completed that run, if he would have, could have, should have, but he didn't. But we could have had gold and silver at the World Championships. Then they would have been the two favourites for the medals. So they're looking pretty good. There'll be a massive push for BMX freestyle after these games in Australia, especially if Logan wins. And Natalia Deem is our best female. She's up for a medal, maybe not gold favourite. And men's team pursuit. Men's team pursuit is going to be an absolutely cracking event. Obviously, bias being a trackie, but the Aussies have been thereabouts to the world record and doing some incredibly fast times, even just in the last week or so. And typically, the team pursuit for the last two Olympics, last three really, it's been Australia versus Great Britain. This is now Australia versus Great Britain, Denmark. Even Italy, Switzerland. There are 5 countries. New Zealand is another one. There's 6 countries that will be fighting for the medals. So this is going to be the best team pursuit program we've seen at the Olympics for a long time.
Michelle has got a question that you could probably answer, Iffy. Could you guys comment on the current top 5 GC regarding their expected time trial experience? I'm wondering what you think Ben's chances are to move into position 3. Given that it's time trial sprint, it obviously comes down to the time trial. So what do you think is going to be the final GC standing for Ben O'Connor, lads?
I think he's going to be 4th. He's not going to. It's a Carapaz. He is. What is he? Carapaz 5:51. So it's 3 minutes. He's not going to. They won't. If he beats Carapaz, it'll be a surprise in the time trial. He'll probably be, I reckon, probably about 30 seconds slower. I would think he'll be in that ballpark. But Carapaz is not great, but he's not going to gain 3 minutes on him. So I think the placings as they are is where they're going to stay. The first 5 are going to stay as they are. It'll be a great race on Saturday in the time trial between Pogacar and Stefan Kung. There was only like 19 seconds or something between them in the first one. But Kung will really put up a close battle. It'll be those two and Daylight third, I reckon.
Don't forget Woot, your mate Woot. He'll be in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll be about 30 seconds back.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's about 2.5 minutes. I think Connor to Carapaz. Regardless, you're right. There's flat course. It's I don't think Ben can pick it up. He's going to be going into this. It's a battle like Pogacar, either for the win of the stage, but win of the tour anyway. He's got so much time. He could have mechanical mishaps and still come away with this win. So he's got the overall win, you would think. Then it's a real fight for second, which Vingegaard should more than likely get. And then there's a battle for 4th, which we hope and think that Ben might also be able to hold on to. But there is a real series of battles, as always, I guess. But yeah, there is a real distinct couple of battles there for 2nd and for 4th.
Yeah. Vingegaard will probably beat Carapaz by getting close to a minute, I would say. That's the difference in them. Looking at the first time, they're both going fairly strong. There's not much difference in the way they're finishing this race. So you would think Jonas would take close to a minute out of him.
Will Wizard wants to know, Scooter, now that Scott sees the chats, I'll ask again, was Cam Wyatt to ride the Madison as well as the road at the Olympics?
Yes. So his main event, he was selected into the road, but he was actually, the main point was to go there and ride the Madison and possibly the Omnium, but that changes things now with him not going there. So, it looks like, more than likely Lee Howard, who, former Madison World Champion himself, will slip up now into Cam's position. So, and look, one of the things that the Madison itself has changed a lot. It actually has a lot since I was racing it. We're riding much smaller gears. Bigger gears were just starting to come in, but we were still riding pretty high cadence events back then. Whereas now you've got these guys, like Michael Morku is still one of the hot favourites for the Madison, and look what the job he's doing at the Tour de France. Now, the track is the second week, then the Madison's right at the very end of the game, so he's still got, from the end of this, he's got almost 3 weeks until he races. But they're coming off the road now with so much strength. Roger Kluge is another one that, has gone straight from road tours off to win, a Madison World Championship only, the next day, within a couple of days. So they've just built up so much aerobic strength, and using bigger gears on the track has changed the way the Madison racing has gone about. And it's almost the same as, kind of in a different way, but it's like the sprinting on the track as well. They're riding monstrous gears now, and it's just like, big rail cars, big drag races that are happening on the track with these huge gears with enormous torque. It's made it a bit more boring. Not quite as boring when it comes to the Madison event, but just these big, strong guys coming off the road. That's what they were hoping to try and get out of Cam, to be that big sort of torquey motor in the Madison, pairing with Kel O'Brien. But unfortunately, it's not going to be the case now.
Geez, it must piss off the cycling fraternity that an event like the Madison went out of the Olympics, yet if you're a good swimmer, you can win a bag of 7 goals for all the different disciplines. Yet from an entertainment spectacle, the Madison, you'd have to argue, is one of the most entertaining track events on the program.
Yep. I can't believe that, and it's good to see it back. It was ridiculous that it stopped. But look,
how did they get it back? That's what I want to know. How did it come back in, Scooter?
I'm actually not that sure how they got it back in. I don't know who lobbied for it, because typically, the situation is for the Olympics, it's all about quota, right? So how many medals can each sport get? And when BMX made the decision that they're bringing BMX into the Olympic Games, then it wasn't like, well, let's have extra medals for cycling. It was seen as a cycling sport, although it's very, very different, isn't it, to all the other cycling disciplines. So they had to take two events out so that the 2 male and female BMX events could come in. So they took out the 500-metre time trial that Anna Meares won in 2004, that was gone in 2008, and the kilometre time trial for the men. So those 2 events went out, BMX came in. But they haven't taken any other events out this time. They've brought in BMX Freestyle, and the Madison has come back. So it's great, but I'm not sure how that's come about. My take on swimming, no disrespect to anyone that's a swimmer, but
don't worry about it.
I put this to Chris Hoy in an interview years ago, because it was he won the event in 2004, the kilometre time trial, and I said, did it upset you that your pet event was taken out of the games, for BMX, but swimming hasn't lost? They've only gained events over the years. And I said, look, it's like this, because obviously in cycling you've got different events because there are different tactics, there's slipstreaming, all these things, drafting, that make the Madison to the track sprint to the Kirin to the road race all very, very different, okay? And it's rare that you can win more than maybe 2, maximum 3 medals as a cyclist if you're a sprinter, perhaps not so much as an endurance rider. But if you look at swimming, the fastest stroke is freestyle, okay? So you could have freestyle, keep it. That's the fastest one. But you've got butterfly. And when's the last time anyone went down to the pool and just went and did a casual butterfly? Like, it's such a difficult stroke that you have to be very specific to do the butterfly, but it's not as fast as freestyle. Then you've got backstroke. And my theory on backstroke is that for anyone that trains on an outdoor pool, you do backstroke just to even up your tan. So you get a bit of a tan on the stomach as well as on the back.
When you're hungover.
Well, hungover is the next one, right? Because that's the breaststroke. And breaststroke's really best used when you're up at Hamilton Island and you're just cruising over to the bar when you're in the pool. Yeah. Right? That's what breaststroke's for.
Heartburn.
Get rid of those 3.
Are they bringing in the backstroke but with one hand tied behind your back? Aren't they bringing that one
dog
in as
paddle. Well, that's a bit like dog paddle, wasn't it? So if you get rid of backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly, have freestyle, you've got the fastest, the best of all the different disciplines in all the different distances and relays, but you don't have the medleys, you don't have all those other 3 disciplines. You bring the team quota way, way down, and we can have all our other sports.
We're joined by head DS for Team Bike Exchange, Matthew
Backstroke
Waker.
champion.
We're just talking about swimming, Whitey. So, yeah, we're way off the mark. Talking about Tour de France. We're talking about swimming.
We're talking about swimming, were we?
Swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming.
I was
the
on a
different
rant.
events, all the different events. He was ranting. We're talking about with swimming when they brought in synchronized diving. Of course, they took the 200 meters out. Oh no, they didn't do that, did they? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Madison, long story short, but we don't. You can go back and watch the podcast later, Whitey, and listen to it.
It's a long day today. I might have a chance to.
Yeah. Whitey, there's 3 days to go of this year's Tour de France. I'll put my hand up and say I'm pretty cooked. How are you guys traveling? And have you got any funny stories, or just throwing it out there, mate? Have you got anything that you can mix it up with? Because yeah, mate, I'm as they say, the thumbs under the chin.
A block.
Well, we went for. You remember the hotel, Jonesy, that we always stay in Po?
Yes.
Out in Lescar, where the gypsy encampments are.
Yes.
So we went for a run yesterday morning. Myself, Matt Heyman, went for a bit of a jog yesterday morning. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we started hearing these dogs barking, and out of the gypsy encampment come these 2 little dogs. And it's certainly the fastest myself and Matt have run for a long, long time. But not only did they chase us a long, long way, but it would have been quite a funny sight to see 2 grown men getting chased by chihuahuas. But for a good 200 to 300 meters, it was. They didn't give up easy.
Oh, that's great. I remember we got chased one time by a massive dog, Iffy, when we were staying at Gizz's, and Bill Schwarzenberg was with us.
Yeah.
And there was a dog. It looked like a horse. And this guy was like the crocodile hunter. And he just held his ground with a big stick and went back at the dog, because dogs smell fear. So these chihuahuas would have seen 2 grown men running, thought, hey, we're a fair fight here. We're going to take them down. You've got to hold your ground. Anytime.
Well, it would have been a size 44. It would have been a size 44 shoe in the back of a couple of them if they come any closer, I tell you.
How is the fitness routine at the tour? Because in the past, we used to get the boxing pads out. And I remember famously Jerry went for a box one time and Bannon almost gave him the Hayfield handshake, which could have ended in tears. But what is the daily fitness routine on tour, mate?
Yeah, mate. Well, the last couple of years, actually, I don't know if I might have only sparred once or twice since you left the team. I don't think too many of the staff are into the boxing, but the gloves and the mitts are still under the truck. We've been out running or walking every single day. I haven't missed a day since I got in. I think I'm averaging about 45, 50K a week. And we do something. It's good. It's real good when you're in the car for so long every day. We just get out and have it's a social thing. We don't run that hard. But it's good to get out and have a good sweat and clear the head and have a chat about things. Some days we walk, some days we run, but we've been doing about 50K a week.
Is that the biggest thing? I was just going to say before we get to the serious stuff, but that's the biggest thing with the fitness routine is the mental rinsing almost, because the Tour de France can actually be quite stressful. But if you get a good routine going, that must be pretty important to have just that daily release part of the routine. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think everyone's different, but I'm someone, even at home, I wouldn't go 48 hours without doing some type of exercise, where it's walking, running. At home, I ride. I enjoy it. I enjoy exercise, and I think it's even more important when you're in a stressful environment, which is what we're doing. And also, it's also for us, we're spending so much time sitting down. It's also good for your back. It's also good for your back to walk or run every day. And it is a good little stress relief. And the other one is I do like my food and drink, and I want to look after myself. So it's easier for me to go for a 45-minute run than say no to a good feed.
Iffy.
I agree.
Minus the exercise bit, Johnny.
I ride my bike for an hour twice a week.
What are you doing, Johnny? Out for a ride twice a week?
Twice a week, 1 hour. Yeah. And sometimes 3.
That's good at your age, mate. Real good.
Get stuck. Get stuck. We've got a long day in the saddle today. It was 207 kilometres. But there is a Cat 4 just 10, 12K in. What is it? And what's the plan of attack? It's your last chance. I mean, we keep saying it, but you've got to have some plan of attack for that battle for the green.
Yeah, look, yesterday we tried to make it real aggressive at the start, but the general trend we're getting here is that there's a lot of teams that the lights are out. And, we are a team of 5, and we're doing what we can to make these starts aggressive so we can try to get a group off the front. Today there'll be no different, but it'll be interesting to see if the sprint teams, Alpecin and Quickstep, are able to shut stuff down early, because they will want to sprint for sure. It's no wind at the moment, but we're going one direction for 207 kilometres, and it will turn into a headwind. So it'll be a long day in the office, but we'll be lining up for the intermediate sprint, whether it's for 20 points or 10 points. And today's final it's slightly uphill today. I think it'll be a messy sprint this afternoon, because the final 6 or 7 kilometres, well, the whole day is pretty uncomplicated. So there's going to be a lot of room to move for these sprint teams and these sprinters. 8 teams have won a stage here, and I think it'll be a messy sprint and a hard one to control, even for Quickstep, because the roads are so wide and there's no real obstacles in the final today.
Andy Matthews says in his post-race interview yesterday, Cav talked down the chance of a win today. 207 Ks is a long way to control, and the ride on the front, but Cav is still $2.40 hot favourite for the win. Do you buy into any of this post-race talk and tactics and that?
No. I've been around long enough, mate, not to buy into that BS. Mate, Cav wants to win today's stage. There's no doubt. Why wouldn't you? If you're the fastest guy here, and there's a sprint stage, you got 2 sprint stages left. He wants to leave with 6 wins if he can.
Yep.
Actually, Whitey, of course he wants to win. Why just beat the record by 1? If he's going to do it, and you want to have one in the pocket, don't you, in case it doesn't go right today? But there was a little bit of criticism towards Pogačar for chasing down Mass and going for the stage win yesterday as well. And it was actually from the person that some networks refused to name, but Lance Armstrong on his podcast, he and George Hincapie were talking about how he should have just let those guys, fight out the top and give him a bit of a stage win. And I don't understand that. He's a young guy, second tour. Why not? Just if you can win, go for it. What do you reckon?
Well, Lance was saying that about Pogačar.
What a drop.
Yeah, he did say that he's had a bit of a change of heart, and that morning he did walk barefoot out onto the grass so he could just ground himself with the planet. Just obviously having a bit of a brain fade, that just watching it from a different perspective, because he would never have done that, as we know.
No. He's got a very short memory, hasn't he? Mate, at the end of the day, there's no presence. Pogačar's the strongest here. He wanted to win another stage. Why not? It's not like those guys that he doesn't owe those guys anything. He owes his sponsors, and he's going to win the Tour de France. And why not pick up a couple of stages on the way?
Yeah, agree.
Well, mate, before we let you go, you've just done the team meeting. What was the key messaging with the boys this morning?
The key message was we've got to be prepared for the unexpected in that first 30 to 40 minutes. In case a bigger group, because the only way that a breakaway is going to win today is if it's a decent sized group. That's the only chance. So we've got to be prepared for that. But the other one is we're just going to keep pushing Quickstep all the way to Paris. No one expects us to win. The pressure is on those guys, and stranger things have happened in bunch sprints and someone getting lost and not picking up points. That's either from us or Cavendish. So you got to be in it to win it, and we are still fighting away there, and going to give Michael the best chance to win that green jersey. Even though it's going to be a hard one, but we're not giving up.
Good stuff,
hey,
mate.
I see Stuart McIntosh asked about the Bahrain Merida situation. I know, look, other DSs don't like to talk too much about what's going on elsewhere, but have you heard any more, any updates behind the scenes of what that was all about?
Oh, look, all I know is that they kept the riders from getting down to dinner until really late, confiscated computers, and they confiscated phones. But I think that if they found something, well, let's hear about it, and if they don't, well, let's also have an apology, because if you can remember from 12, you can also remember from 12 months ago, all the scandal that supposedly came out around Nairo Quintana. Well, whatever eventuated out of that?
Yeah.
Nothing,
Exactly.
and it's like we get to the Tour de France and it's been a quiet day or two, and there has to be some drama or something around doping that doesn't end up turning into anything. So I feel they're innocent until proven guilty, and there's nothing. No one's been arrested. No one's been charged, and it's just it's not good for the sport, the whole thing. And at the end of the day, if nothing is found, and people, then where's the apology? What are the guys done wrong? And to keep athletes up until midnight, to keep staff up until 3 o'clock in the morning on day 17 of the Tour de France. Imagine if this had happened in the middle of a World Cup football tournament. It would be worldwide scandal, But because it's a tour, it's just another day, isn't it?
I was reading Sonny Colbrelli on I think Cycling News or Cycling Tips, talking about he was pretty upset because he didn't sleep at all. It was 3 o'clock before he really got to be able to go to sleep. He couldn't sleep. He was pretty upset about it. But it seemed to have come. This story started a couple of months ago with a French sports director who came up with with some suspicions, but later admitted he's got no proof of anything. He's just it's a suspicion. So, you got to have a bit more than that.
For it to get that far, that 50 police come to a hotel to confiscate some phones and computers in the middle of the Tour de France, they'd want to have. That's for sure. They'd want to have. But look, I got no explanation for it, and I dare say we'll probably never hear one. So anyway, we keep rolling on. But it's I do feel sorry for the riders and staff that have been put in that situation at the moment for totally unnecessary.
I think you made a great point. At the end of the day, it's like, what is the onus of proof or the evidence that you've been driven to have 50 police do the investigation? Like, if it turns out eventually that there's nothing there, well, you need to come clean with that. It needs to be transparency. And if it's nothing, if it's based on some guy going, oh, this is my hunch, that's bullshit. Because just the insinuation that there was an investigation and they're proven innocent is enough damage to cause people afterwards to go, I still don't believe it. That's bullshit, particularly in the sport of cycling. So if it's proven to be innocent down the track, people need to be held accountable, and that can't be the norm going forward. That's it.
Exactly.
For sure. And like I said, the example was at the end of the tour last year around Nairo Quintana. Yeah. There was a big scandal there. And what ended up happening out of that? Absolutely nothing. So,
which is bullshit. As you said, the sport's been through enough, and we've talked about it a bit on this show, and even the insinuation with Pogacar's results and the way that, headlines are drummed up in certain media. Anyway, we can go on around for a while there, but let's keep it positive. Hope you have a bloody great day, Whitey. And we hope that Blin can do well in the sprint, particularly today. I've got a really, really good feeling. And Scotty, you want to add something before we let Whitey go?
I just want to compliment Whitey for going to the back of the bus and putting the Jayco logo over the shoulder there. Perfect placement there. Great logo.
I'm just lucky to haven't got the engine on either, otherwise we wouldn't be able to hear a thing. I'd be suffocating with carbon monoxide.
Nah, but it's tactical, mate. It's Friday night. Melbourne's or Victoria's in lockdown, so Jerry's watching. So chapeau, mate. Well played.
I should have a bit of time to listen to some footy today, actually. It's going to be. Well, I think once after that break of the day goes, she's going to be a long day in the car. But the weather's good, and we're going to give it all we can to support Michael and try to grab a stage win this afternoon.
Good stuff, mate. We appreciate you coming on the detour, mate. All the best today.
See you, bud.
See you, gents.
See you, mate. Matty White, head DS of Team Bike Exchange. It's going to be an interesting stage, fellas. Looking into your crystal ball, I'll start with you, Scotty. What do you think is going to happen?
Look, I think De Koning it's a long way. Sure, everyone's tired, but I think collectively they've shown to be coming through the tour pretty strong. And it wouldn't have been easy, piloting Cav to the end of these mountain stages. But, I think it's probably easier than trying to go as hard as they possibly can. So I think they'll be looking to try and control this as much as possible because, they want to get the win before Paris.
Iffy?
Yep. I think Carapaz is going to win in the sprint.
What? is that to the
I mean Cavendish. Sorry, Carapaz, Cavendish. I could confuse them.
Oh, I thought, no, you should have left it because I think that was funny actually until you admitted that you stuffed up.
I was joking.
Oh, okay. The Wheel Wizard gave us some insight, and I now understand. I get it. I get why the Madison has come back in, because he says the Belgian president lobbied for it. Now, the Belgian president's name is Van Damme. So if it is the famous Jean-Claude Van Damme that might happen to be the Belgian cycling president, then if he wants something in, mate, you're going to let him do it, aren't you? Otherwise, you'll bloody,
it's my
round
mate,
kick you to the head.
My mate Tommy. No, Tommy Van Damme. Good bloke.
Tommy Hogan says, love the Dan John scraps. Keep them coming, mate. Don't worry about that. They will continue.
He called you Podgy. Oh, sorry. No, he's not.
Podge is too dominant. I'm with Dan. I love the tour. They always do.
We can bring up a photo of Podgy JT from a few years back.
Yeah. Peter Williams, question for Scotty. Should the team's pursuit be extended to 5,000 or 6,000 metres to make it more of an endurance event? Why was the individual pursuit removed from the Olympics?
Oh, now you'll get us going.
Here we go.
One more down, Scooter.
Yeah, look, it has just evolved over the years. It's still endurance, okay? So you've looked at the guys that are featuring in it. You've still got endurance riders. Geraint Thomas is a two-time Olympic gold medalist. Bradley Wiggins is a two-time Olympic team pursuit gold medalist. That's only going back 4 years from now. Now, they are getting much more powerful. They're doing a lot more gym. But it's perhaps more for the younger riders coming through, focus on the track, try and get a gold medal or a medal at the Olympics, represent, and then go onto the road. And look, we already know that we've got a bunch of the Aussies that are going to go onto the road. Luke Plapp's signed a contract with Ineos. We spoke about UAE the other day and the big budgets that they have. They threw an enormous amount of money at Luke Plapp, and he decided to go to Ineos instead. I don't think that's too much of an issue. And you've got to change all the rules, not the rules, you've got to change all the records change. Look, we've got a history in the team pursuit going back to, I don't know what the first year it was in the Olympics, but I will do that research for next week when I'm calling it. I don't think we need to change it. And the individual pursuit came out as all part of that cycling quota. Too many events to bring other events in, you had to take something out. And they wanted to get rid of the Madison from the Olympics after 2008, because I've heard a couple of things. I've heard that Bernie Ecclestone was sitting with Tony Blair in the stands watching the Madison and then left halfway through, and Blair asked him why he was leaving, and he said, mate, it's too confusing. I don't know what's happening. And then that story got back to the IOC, and they said, oh, maybe it's not made for TV. But now it's back because we don't care about Ecclestone or Blair, which is good.
Now, the individual pursuit for the men in the World Championships, so for the pros, what used to be 5,000 metres, and the amateurs were 4,000, and then gradually it all changed. But I got to tell you, I was really pissed off when, and I remember having a conversation with Pat McQuaid when he was president of the UCI, and we're having a barbecue at Giz's mate's place. You remember Dan?
Yes.
And I actually brought it up with him. We've got it on film somewhere. I said, this is ridiculous. The kilometre time trial and the individual pursuit are two of the iconic track Olympic medals that should never have been taken out. They're wonderful events, and they should come back still. But I'll lobby for it. They've got to come back.
I don't remember that conversation. I just remember Tim the Vet sharing all his classic yarns and Pat loving it.
He was telling a story about the Great Dane that he had to that died up in the old lady's place. He had to break its legs and throw it out the window. And while he was telling the story, the Great Dane came up and stuck his nose in. While he was telling the story, which I thought was absolutely the piss.
Well, there was the one where there was a chicken. He was a vet, and he said this chicken got mauled, and it was all. He said it's all the skin was on the ground. It looked like one of those fat-free chickens you get from Red Rooster, and the family wanted him to stitch the chicken together, and he said, "Oh, this is a huge job. You know, it's going to take me 4 hours. Why don't you just get a chicken for $5 down the market?" And they said, "No, it's like we love it." And then he stitched it together, but he didn't realize that the skin was pulled a certain way with the feathers, and when it all recovered, all its feathers were going everywhere. He said it cost him £600, and it was the weirdest looking chicken.
So we're going to tell the classic. They're going to make this mate of ours, Tim the vet, for those listening. He's a Melbourne vet, but he was based in England for quite a while, countryside, Cambridge or somewhere. And he said, look, the worst thing would be they'd bring a box. The minute it was they brought in a box, you knew it would be something, and you open it up, and it would bite you or whatever. But his classic story was a couple people who come in with a dog, and he had to. It had been hit by the car, but it was a family pet, and he had to remove both its legs. He said, "But I can't do it." He said because they were both on the same side. So he ended up. They said, "No, please, our children cannot live with that." So he removed the front and back legs on the one side. Now, you know, he said, if it had been the opposite side, the dogs can do anything. Anyway, a few months later, he went up to the farm to see how the dog was going, and that dog chased his car.
Yeah, the two-legged dog.
There you go, the two-legged dog on the one side. He used to balance.
Anyway, so he adapted, but he still chased him because he was pissed off because he took his legs. The detail, the Great Dane story, we won't go into detail, but when he told that story and the reasons why he had to break the legs and everything to fit it into the boot of the car, like the detail was just, it's extraordinary.
And there was the gerbil as well. You didn't mention the gerbil. Anyway, that's another show.
Don't mention the gerbil.
Sam Lane and another lady who were watching the second Detour movie at the theatre walked out when Tim was telling his stories. They weren't very happy at all.
What's good is we've learned from that experience, and we keep telling those stories just on a podcast. It's totally different.
High impact stories, keep them going.
All right, fellas, it's been a great show. Thanks again to Matt White, Phil Liggett, the voice of cycling, as we always say, youtube.com/The Detour Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Anything you want to add before we go, fellas?
Oh, mate, I'm looking forward to having Ben Stiller on tomorrow night.
Going to be huge. Reunite the two legends of cycling, Ben Stiller and Scott McGrory. Hashtag bring back Ben. Get behind it. It's going to be massive. So we can't wait. And I love the fact how, because this show's live and I put Phil under the pump, he had nowhere to go other than concede.
Total ambush.
I'll send him a note. So anyway, we'll see how we go. It will probably be like iffy when we said or promised the listeners that we get Eddy Merckx on the show. We know how that panned out. So anyway, stay tuned.
Well, send and Phil, he'll see the humour in this. Probably not. On the hour, every hour, while he's commentating tonight, just send him a text message as a reminder. Have you heard back from Ben yet?
Heard back from Ben yet? What time?
Do it.
Pre-record. Do it. He'll love it. Anyway, stay tuned. Tomorrow night, Ben Stiller will be on the show. We'll see you then. 6:30. Pre-record.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de